Exciting discovery as unknown tech was discovered on the Skinwalker Ranch. This new tech discovery might just be the answer to so many questions about the Skinwalker Ranch. After Pete Kelsey informed him that he had finished processing the data from the scans conducted between the Mesa drill site and Homestead 2, one of the members of the research team, Eric, summoned everyone together in the command center. There was a line that runs horizontally right here. In reality, there were 4 lines. If there is a depression there, water will pool there, and plants will be able to grow in it differently. When one looks at the location, it appears to have been carved by humans and gives the impression that it was a waterway, which is where an unknown tech was discovered on the ranch. Anything that is that linear or that orthogonal is a strong indication that someone dug a trench. It turns out that the Sherman was referring to a specific spot on the ranch when he gave his warning. It was made clear to the current owner of the ranch, Brandon Fugel, that if the ground in this particular location, which is close to Homestead 2, was disturbed, then dangerous occurrences would take place. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, when the Bigelow investigations were ongoing, the Shermans continued to labor at the ranch as they had done previously. A significant portion of the information concerning that time period has not yet been made available to the general public. Is it possible then that the digging operations carried out by that group in the field close to Homestead 2 are responsible for these anomalies? Also, please explain the reasoning behind why they recommended nobody dig there ever. It is possible that there is only one way to find out. If one were to look at this, they may get the impression that Bigelow is now working on the ranch or digging something up. Therefore, it shouldn't come as much of a surprise to learn that they were also present in this area looking for anything. In addition to that, there was something distinctive about the mud. This would be the point where the line is drawn. In addition to that, they found some gray clay-like material that was definitely a layer and was about the width of a bulldozer. It contained some pretty little crystalline stuff that was really clear. The members of the crew were at a loss for words when it came to interpreting the bluish-gray substance that they had discovered in the field immediately to the east of Homestead 2. But it did seem to be in accordance with the lines that they seen in Pete Kelsey's multispectral scans of the surrounding area. In the event that it tells us nothing else, it reveals how precise the multispectral data is. One would never have even considered this possibility, but because they had access to multispectral data, when we looked at it, they were able to see these lines. What's the deal with that? They endeavored to think of a rational explanation for the straight lines of crystal-like materials that appeared to have been placed in a very clear fashion. If they hadn't had the multispectral equipment, they never would have had a chance of finding it in that location. They were unable to accept the fact that it was natural. If it were occurring in the wild, the ranch would be covered in it. It is the duty of the system to ensure that aircraft, such as airplanes and jets, comply with the laws and regulations that govern their operation by monitoring the transmissions that they are obligated to make. At first sight, it appeared to be moving in a direction that was exactly north, but then all of a sudden, it swerved to the left and picked up speed. It continued in this route until the end of the scene. In the event that this thing were a satellite, you had to be prepared for the strength of the signal to gradually weaken over the course of time. At that point, it would no longer have the same impact as it did when it was first introduced. The claim that it is not a satellite receives additional backing from these pieces of evidence. It disappeared in the split second it took to get to the number 1 on the countdown. The splendor of the object remained unaltered at any time, right up until the very instant that it vanished from existence. However, it was instantly clear that there was a problem with the situation. The fire that had started everything had entirely destroyed what was left once it had done its work. The motor overheated to the point where it could no longer function correctly, which ultimately led to its failure. In your opinion, what are some of the potential contributing elements that led to that? The problem was found to be originating in the engine of the vehicle. As the rocket continued to ascend into the sky at an ever-increasing rate, an explosion occurred on the interior of the vehicle. They have seen this occur with a wide variety of motor prototypes, but they have never seen it occur with a motor that is sold to the general public. They were already traveling at a breakneck speed when they eventually realized there was an issue. but they had no idea it existed. It just so happened that they both looked at the camera at the same time, but neither of them saw anything out of the ordinary when they did so. No one in that group had any prior knowledge or experience related to the issue that was being discussed. A figure could be made out in all of its detail, despite being obscured by the clouds, and located quite a ways off in the distance. There was clearly more going on than was initially visible to the naked eye. At that point, they had the insight that it was possible that they were witnessing a phenomenon for the very first time in the history of humanity. This was a significant moment for them because it was the first time they had ever seen something like it. The strange object went boom after being hit by the rocket, which caused it to detonate in an instant. They saw it numerous times to confirm that they were not participating in any form of hallucination. The fire was responsible for the complete destruction of the edifice, following the impact of the missile with the target. Over the course of 4 years, the crew conducted an exhaustive investigation of Skinwalker Ranch, during which time they ultimately secured convincing video footage of an astonishing occurrence that took place at the Triangle. Burdett Anderson's high-speed camera recorded an odd image that appeared to be a blob just before the time that they were going to launch the rocket. The image was captured just before the launch was due to take place. As a result of this flaw in the design, the rocket detonated without any prior notice, wreaking havoc on everything in its path. Without the assistance of some kind of optical aid, none of them were able to determine what it was that was there, but they could tell that something was there. This incident did not result in any harm being sustained by the cloud. Due to the fact that it did not move at any point during the course of the experiment, it is plausible to think that something of this nature occurs rather frequently in that location. They have been tracking intermittent energy surges for quite some time now, and they have been hunting for the cause of these spikes. This could be the solution that they have been waiting for all along. How, if at all, does it resemble the UAPs that they have fought against in the past? And if so, in what ways? There aren't many bright spots, but one of them is the chance of getting closer to some answers. In all honesty, this is one of the few bright spots about the situation. The fact that numerous missiles have crashed in about the same region before being deflected in the opposite direction adds up to more evidence suggesting that something is located in the sky. They became aware of something that had been missing prior to the launch of the third rocket as soon as its flames began to spread throughout the area. They had never witnessed anything even somewhat like to it before. In the second shot of the rocket that was taken, there was something that was obviously missing, but in the third shot, it was there. For more updates on space and recent findings, be sure to subscribe and turn on post notification. Thomas is usually able to provide a detailed account of all that he sees when the high-speed camera is recording. They were unable to provide a definition that was to their liking. They had never seen anything even somewhat like to this come out of a photron camera before. Before this, they had no idea what had taken place, but now they have a potential direction in which to direct their investigation. They have the impression that the thing they have acquired is one of a kind and extremely valuable. They see it as merely adding additional evidence to support the case that they are making. Because of its location in the westernmost part of the county, close to the Uinta and Ouray Indian Reservation, this piece of land is known as the UFO Ranch among both the residents of the county and the people who come to the area to investigate the mysterious occurrences that are said to have taken place there over the course of the past half-century. There is a widespread belief that unidentified flying objects were responsible for these occurrences. Kelleher and Knapp assert that they have either directly observed or independently investigated evidence for approximately 100 different instances. The disappearance of cattle and their subsequent discovery with injuries is just one example. Additional examples include the observation of orbs or other weird flying objects, encounters with giant monsters that were unharmed despite being fired at, and the production of destructive magnetic fields from things that cannot be seen. Researchers reveal terrifying images. Watch next video to see these images.